Yes, sir. It's another beautiful morning in the city of Abeokuta. This is Rock City 101.9 FM Daybreak Show Citizens Forum this morning. Yes, sir. We'll be going to our institution, education. You may want to say, yes, sir. We are going to be looking at something that will touch many of us as parents, as students, as a prospective admission seekers into the university, specialized universities now. A couple of days ago, an order came from the Federal Ministry of Education to the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board asking it to delete courses that are perceived to be out of the mandate of some specialized universities. In simple terms, this means a school like the Federal University of Agriculture or the Federal University of Science and Technology will no longer be able to enroll students for courses like accountancy, mass communication, banking, and finance. I understand that some of these schools even take law as a course. I'm not too sure about that. I'm in school for some time. All I do in terms of school now is training and seminars and
Seminars and all
workshops.
that.
Okay, Dele Ayodo is my name once again. Welcome on board.
And I am Chianya Igwawan. Yes, that's what we're looking at on Citizens Forum on the Daybreak Show, Rock City 101.9 FM. Okay, who is to blame? Is it the laxity on the part of the regulatory bodies or NUC, or who is to blame? All this and many more questions we'll find answers to on this edition of Citizens Forum on the Daybreak Show, Rock City 101.9 FM.
Okay, by interpretation, one of the schools that is expected to be affected by this new order should be the Federal University of Agriculture here in Abeokuta. And we have online the dean of that College of Management Studies, have online Dr. Olabisi Jaiyeola. Good morning, Dr. Jaiyeola.
Good morning. Good morning, sir.
Okay.
Good morning to all in the studio.
Yeah.
Good morning.
The, my name is Dr. Olabisi Jaiyeola.
Okay, not Adebisi. I'm sorry about that.
Yes,
Olabisi
Dr. Olabisi Jaiyeola.
Jaiyeola. Okay, Dr. Olabisi Jaiyeola, have you formally been notified as to this new instruction?
Honestly, I have not. I have not. I have not been hearing it as a rumor. Even I have not read it anywhere, but people are saying it's on the bed. It's in the newspaper. So I have not.
Okay, we can confirm to you here that there is a release, a ministerial release from the Federal Ministry of Education to the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board to that effect, asking them from next examination to delist such courses from school. That is the other. But by interpretation, it means a school like yours or your faculty will no longer be able to admit students. That is the interpretation of it. We can confirm that. So I just want to confirm if the formal notice has gotten to your table. However, if this happens, what will be the effect in your school?
Initially I said I've never seen it because if anything like that will come, it should come from the management. It should come there with the circular to the university. And the university will now give us as to the news. And that's the most reason why I said I've never. I just read it in newspaper and sometimes newspaper we believe can be there some kind of errors in it.
Now, I want to agree with you that you cannot act on reports from the newspaper. That's what I said. But eventually, if it happens, so what will be its effect on your in your department?
Not only in my university, we have so many universities in Nigeria that will be affected. Let me mention them. We have University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, University of Technology, Akure, University of Technology, Atiku, ATB, University of Bauchi, the University of Agriculture, Makoti. All these universities will be affected. And we can look at what will be the magnitude of effect on all these universities and even the parents, the students. So these are some of the problems that these new committee will bring. Because all the universities are just mentioned, apart from my university, they're running all these courses for a very long time. They're running like Federal University of Agriculture for that 20 years.
Dr. Jaiyeola, the fact that one is doing something that is wrong for a long time, I'm sure you will agree, they will not make such thing right.
It's not wrong.
No, hold it. No, I've not asked my question. You have time to react, sir. I'm sorry about this. Now, before now, I want to localize it to your university where we have close proximity and understand exactly what is happening. Before now, so many people, even on this station, on this platform, have queried your school and said you have gone out of your statutory, your mandate of agriculture, and your specialty should be, and your focus should be feeding or making agriculture sufficient enabling environment for where you are. Now, how do you defend the introduction of courses like accountancy, I understand mass communication in a federal university of agriculture?
No, we are not running mass communication. Let me answer that question by saying that, before you come to the conclusion like that, you have to look at the cost and the benefits of all these new courses now that have been introduced into Federal University of Agriculture. You look at the benefits, and you look at that advantage that bringing this all these new colleges or some of these new colleges that we have now. What are the disadvantages? What are the things? What are the side effects that is not happening on the university? By the time you look at advantages, you will see that the advantage of having my college of management science, doing whatever anybody you can think about it is advantage. Let me just tell you that we have many students that want to read management courses more than students in science. For instance, now, I don't want to be, because I want to be very careful, so that because I don't have the clearer picture or to give me policy. Since the inception of my college in this university has gained more popularity. I need to tell you that. Like what was the admission quota before this college came on board in 2011? And ever since, you will see that the number of students that are choosing this university, the number have really increased. This last admission we are here done, about 17,000 plus, almost above 17,000 plus, noting this university candidates. And out of that 17,000 plus, almost 1,000 applied to my college. And how many departments do we have in my college? We have just 5 departments. About 10,000. You can see the advantage. Like people in Abeokuta now, you don't need to go to Uni. You don't need to go to Unilag. You don't need to go to all those staff places. I need to be able to gain admission to read all these accounting, business administration, economics, and all this stuff like that. That's a very big advantage. So with this, people, let me tell you, you said something the other time that somebody might have been doing something that is very wrong for more than 20 years. If you go to a advanced country, we have a particular university in University, MIT, Institute of Technology. That's the way it has been running all the companies, and they are doing well. The second to Upper University. It is for all that we are talking about an Institute of Technology. So I don't know what can be any advantage that this one, Abeokuta, in School of University of Agriculture, I've never observed any advantage for any side effect that this one is having on the university. Okay, it has really increased, the popularity, the image of the university.
Dr. Jaiyeola, what are those 5 departments in your faculty?
We have accounting department, we have business administration, we have entrepreneurial studies, we have department of economics, and we have banking and finance.
Now, what will you say to those who think that the advantage, the opportunity to get more money, raising your IGR is one factor that is driving the admission into these
You
courses?
say what? I can't get
The opportunity to derive more internally generated revenue as a result of these students. You just talked about 7,000 of them seeking to come into your college is one driving force pushing these courses.
internally generated revenue. You said the internally generated revenue.
Yeah, that the school will make more money from introducing these
No,
courses.
we don't, like for now, we are not running any program outside the normal program. We don't have any part-time in my college, but we are talking about the advantages, the benefits that people, the students, they are getting for now from these universities and college, this university. The parents, I myself as a parent, my children will come to this, any one of them that want to read and any of these as a management and can come to this thing. You don't need to go far. And some of your children, yes, they can come to these things like accounting, these are these. There are so many advantages that we can't do. After this college, you are in the university.
All right, there. Thank you.
You don't need to begin to talk about the internally generated revenue for now. It goes beyond that. We look at other qualitative packages that we start to do rather than monetary.
All right, thank you, Dr. Olabisi Jaiyeola, Dean. Uh, yes, thank you, Dean of the College of Management Studies, Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta. All right, trying to defend the position of the school, the college, in admitting students to 5 different courses in the department that has to do with management outside what one would think, yeah, it's supposed to be a specialized school. Anyway, we have here with us one of the products of that school, a student, the immediate past speaker. Okay, he will introduce himself properly. I'm getting it wrong. But its name simply is Comrade Afolabi Lukman. Afolabi Lukman, good morning.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Okay,
Uh,
let's introduce yourself.
okay,
So.
my name is Afolabi Lukman, the incumbent speaker of
Okay, you are incumbent.
yeah, incumbent speaker of FUNAAB Student Union.
All right, good. So you are still a student. That's good. Now, how do you feel? Which course are you studying in?
As a matter of fact, my course of study in FUNAAB is actually one of such courses to be affected in the long run, as far
Oh,
as FUNAAB is concerned.
oh, good. So you are in the College of Management
College
Studies.
of Management Science, Department
Uh,
of Entrepreneurial Studies.
okay. Now, have you read that story?
Actually, yes, I've read it on the pages of a newspaper.
Okay. So, what were your immediate feelings when you read that story?
I haven't gone through the reports. What actually came to one's mind was the fact that the government has not been able to really do a well comprehensive and you know all-inclusive consultation as far as the policy is concerned. If truly it is going to be at the end of the day, because we felt that coming up with such a policy at this very critical time, in which we have so many challenges in terms of the number of students or candidates that actually applied for admission in the tertiary institutions. And when you look at the carrying capacity of the schools, it is nothing to still write home about. So if the government should now decide to come up with such a policy at this very critical point in time, I think it is never the best of policy that anybody can actually come up with.
Now, what the policy intends to achieve is to drive back specialized universities into their core mandates. Federal University of Agriculture, for instance, is supposed to specialize in agri areas, developing manpower, developing technology for agriculture, propagating research that will shove up our agri production system and analysis. If such school now moves away into the conventional courses, universities, don't you think there will be what we call conflict of interest in the mandate and then the output itself?
Well, as far as I know, I think for every organizational setting, there are always area of operation and also as well as a mandate to be worked upon. So, as if you want to look at it very well, I think having the statutory mandate of the institution is one thing. Then also is another thing is to also have a kind of an expanding scope of the institution. In a institution whereby we felt like expanding the scope of the mandate of the institution, I think that if it is well being spelled out in an explicit format, I don't think there's going to be any kind of conflict of interest in the long run. What we just needed to achieve or to do or to even realize right now is that let everything be well stated in an explicit format in such a way that it will be so easy for anybody to actually peruse. Because in the long run, if you are trying to say that, oh, this is a mandate of the institution, we don't want them to deviate or to move away from their original mandate. You see, by virtue of trying to like expanding the scope, will not necessarily mean that you are trying to like derail or deviate from the original mandate of the school. So what that will only mean is that you are trying to expand the scope. And do not forget, for instance, in the School of Agriculture, for instance, for instance, how will you want to run agriculture in the 21st century without having a clear-cut management processes that is going to make people to see agriculture, in the light of 21st century practice, not just the way it is being done in the 10th or 15th or even in the 18th century. This 21st century, for crying out loud, where we are talking about making agriculture, taking it back to its pride of place, whereby it will constitute the major source of income to the government of Nigeria.
Afolabi, deep inside you, if you had the opportunity to study the course which we are studying now in a conventional school, let's say the University of Ibadan, Unilag, or OAU, and then you have those four choices, will you still have picked FUNAAB?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I think coming down to a school like FUNAAB, I think it has its own peculiar advantage in terms of
You
the.
have not answered that question. That could be a defense to your answer. Will you have still picked
Yes,
FUNAAB?
of course, I would have picked. Of course, I would have picked FUNAAB based on one as advantage or the other that is associated with FUNAAB. So it does not necessarily matter that you have to go to a conventional school
What
before.
are the advantages associated?
For instance, coming down to a school like FUNAAB, for instance, as a management student that is coming in to come and study management course in FUNAAB, you discover that you are going to be exposed to more of all this agricultural practice in FUNAAB, unlike some of the other conventional schools in which they are.
Do you have agri courses as part of your course in that faculty?
The thing is that there is no agriculture, but in your environment generally, that is something you see day in, day out, and it's something that one way or the other, consciously or unconsciously, you are also, getting yourself along and engaged in some of those things that are being done on campus.
Do you have this kind of feeling? Because I know it does exist sometimes in schools where students who are doing core agri courses feels um, I'm trying to find a lighter word to use. Feels as if they are the owner of the school. Feels as if they are more important than those of you who are regarded as outsider in the courses you are doing.
Well, I to be
And then they
on.
want to show you that, well, I'm an agri student. This is the school for agri.
Well, as far as that question is concerned, I think it is a general thing. Wherever you go to, if you have any group of persons occupying a particular given territorial space, if a new set of persons are to come and put up with them, it is naturally that it happens. It is natural. It's a natural thing, natural reaction that people will want to feel like, oh, why this person? Just like the similitude of that is just like talking about a polygamous family whereby you have a particular somebody occupying the house and somebody else is just coming to come and join. So it is natural for the former to always have such a feeling that, oh, I've been here before you came. So it's a normal thing, but that does not still take away the fact that the emergence or the coming of that person can still always spell good for the whole institution at the end of the day. So if there's a feeling that, oh, we are students of agriculture, this school belongs to us, it does not take away the fact that what should be our major concern is how to take agriculture to its rightful place, in the society, a place of pride in which agriculture will be seen, to be something that is capable of helping us to resolve and solve the problem of unemployment in the country. You see, by agriculture will help us to increase even the idea of the government at cutting across all quarters, whether state, federal, or even local government level. So we are talking about, let us try to look at the relative advantage that having all this management of courses of a thing is going to have on, the agricultural courses, for instance in FUNAAB, and even in our technologies based school too. The same thing is applicable to them. So the feeling is nothing to really to get worried about. Rather, we should be more concerned about what we seek to achieve for the country at large.
Do you think the school, the introduction of these courses, is affecting, like you just used the word, what they set out to achieve? Is there any sign, signal to that?
Well, one way or the other, I would think yes, it has been assisting the school in achieving one way or the other. Because if you look at it very well, you discover that by virtue of the introduction, just like the acting dean of the College of Management Science has rightly said the other time, apart from the fact that it's tried to open up this institution for more opportunity, it's also tried to help to create more popularity for the school. And even apart from even we are talking about the core mandate of the thing, I'm not aware of any schools that have actually derived from achieving their core mandate as a result of having all the courses like management courses, for instance. So if you try to take a look around some of the institutions we have in the country, I don't think you are going to get any report. I'm not aware of any official paper reports that state that there's a conflict in any school because of the introduction of management courses. Either it can only be something else. So one way or the other, it has up. Even economically speaking, it has up the school, because if you check the core or the typical mandate of the school, it goes beyond just achieving the academic goal.
Okay, you are talking this way because it affects you. Okay, so what's your advice for the federal government? What do you want them to do concerning this directive?
What I would advise, to be candid with you, is that the federal government, I think, as a matter of fact and urgency, the government should seek to convoke a kind of their national dialogue on regarding this policy. I'm also in the democratic dispensation, in which it will always be good. It's the benefit of democracy is to be able to get out more of people's opinion when it comes to certain policies. Sometimes those ideas of our fair may be thinking that this we are doing will make us realize the core objective uh, the way it's supposed to be. But you see, sometimes we need to align ourselves with the current reality on ground, because it is said that stringent times call for stringent measures. So if they are able to convoke a national policy dialogue that we seek to get input from many different stakeholders, I think at the end of the day, the government will tends to rediscover that having courses, especially like management courses, is definitely a plus and never a kind of a distraction of any kind to the realization of these specialized school mandates.
Okay, what does this spell? What effect does this spell on education?
Well, if the policy is to skate through, what it will mean is that we are going to have a situation whereby already as we speak, the current capacity of all these schools, even in spite of the introduction of all these courses that we are talking about, it will put more a kind of more burden on the school's current capacity, because it will therefore mean that there will be more candidates that will not be able to admit university education. It means that year in year how we continue to shun out set of candidates that will not be able to gain admission, because knowing fully well that an average student would like to go into university, and not any other thing. So by implication, it will never pay, because in the long run, when you have an army of candidates that that are unable to admit admission or gain admission, it therefore means that you see, it is said that an idle mind is devil workshop. Knowing the period of that we exist between them, processing the admission, and they lost the admission, and they will still have to like thinking of preparing for that and the next admission. Anything can always happen. And do not forget the fact that among these candidates we are talking about, we have some of them that have been processing admission for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, on and on like that. And that even necessitates a particular decision that JAM was considering not quite long on the issue of trying to like expand the lifespan of the JAM admission results. So
All right, if you are
Should I
just
ask you? Let me ask him. The course you are taking now at FUNAAB, will you say it was your choice of course?
oh, it was because of
Or it was because
admission
of admission
pressure.
that you took up that program? Be
what
honest with yourself.
it may interest you to know. Well, it's a very good question. To be honest with you, even before coming down to FUNAB, during the course of trying to like see as an average Nigerian youth, why we try to like look for, okay, can we get some of these foreign country that have a scholarship. I think I first came about this course from one particular Russian school like that offer it as entrepreneur and e-commerce. So, and since then I have developed the interest in the course. In fact, at a point in time, my humble self and some of my friends then we even tried to see how we can push for it. But at the point in time, one thing or the other affected us that we could no longer push for it. And when we later got to know that there is this thing existing in FUNAAB, and you see, what came to our mind was the fact that, oh wow, if they can actually do this thing the way it's supposed to be done, then it's a very good introduction into the Nigeria academic system.
So you're saying you are fulfilled taking that course?
As far as I'm concerned, yes, I'm very fulfilled, because Nigeria as of today is in dear need of entrepreneurial knowledge for the economic development of the country.
This is still Daybreak Show on Rock City 101.9 FM in the city of Abeokuta this morning. We are looking at the planned action intention of the Ministry of Education, Federal Ministry of Education of Federal Government to delist courses that are not relevant in specialized schools. And with us is the incumbent speaker of the Student Representative Council, Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta. May I say, Right Honorable Afolabi
Lukman.
Lukman. He didn't come here with threatening of it. I was surprised. Anyway, now, Afolabi, from time to time, there has been this speculation that the school of FUNAAB was going to change its name to accommodate issues like this. Maybe they were already looking ahead that things like this may eventually happen, and then remove the specialized one and nomenclature in it to Federal University Abeokuta. It has not happened, at least formally. But for a student representative like you, will you support this? Will you advocate for this change in nomenclature?
Well, you see, whether there's a change in nomenclature or not, I think what should preoccupy, what we should preoccupy our mind with, as far as I'm concerned, is if, the need for us, the kind of strict adherence to the realization and attainment of the school mandate. Because we discover that sometimes nomenclature many at times may not necessarily, pull a very strong weight sometimes. So, but what I think is the most important thing is, let us call for strict adherence, because sorry to say, like they used to say, we used to
If you say call for strict adherence to the core mandate, some people listening will say you are contradicting yourself.
no. Let me explain. What I'm actually talking about is that if we have an original mandate and we are now trying to have a kind of expanding the scope of the mandate, in other words, by virtue of expanding the scope of the mandate of the school, then let the school stick to the achievement of that expanded scope of its mandate. That's what I'm actually talking about here, and not the original mandate of the school. And
Oh. Yeah, I understand what I mean. Let's get this in clear terms. So, as a representative of the student, if you are to send a memo or an advisory note, so what exactly will be the content?
What would be the content is that first and foremost, I would like to call for calm on the part of my fellow students that they should not try to feel demoralized, especially those that are likely to be affected in one way or the other. Then and to the management, I think. The memo, as it may affect the management, will just be that the management should just still help us to push further for the continuous maintenance and sustenance of these all these courses, all these programs, looking at some of the advantage that it actually have, you know, generally speaking for the school and its adjoining environment, and even then for as for the government, we want the government to look at the cost and the benefits of all these courses that we have as against so as a good look at the cost and benefit of these all these courses that we have in the country, because sometimes like they used to say that it is not always good to throw away the dirty water with the baby. So rather we should try to, like, if perhaps maybe because we felt that because part of the report I read was probably some school trying to, like, change the nomenclature of certain courses. For instance, instead of saying accountancy or an accounting, they like accounting technology. So if it is the issue of nomenclature that you really want to tackle, then me, I think I want to say that we should be able to, government should be able to address or look into that. So it should not be a matter of probably because you want to you know a matter of because somebody is doing something that we think is not really worth it, and because of that we now want to make a kind of generic statement. And that is more reason why earlier on I call for a kind of you know stakeholders convoking this
Okay,
Consultation.
dialogue.
dialogue
Can
that
you
will.
give me a very good reason why those courses should stay?
Thank you very much. One of the major reasons why this college should stay, like I've said earlier, was that, for instance, if you look at agriculture, for instance, agriculture the way it used to be practiced during the First Republic, Second Republic, and even Third Republic has actually changed. From the way it is being done all over the world in the 21st century. So if we can still continue to have all these management courses in, for instance, in School of Agriculture, then that will help us to move towards the attainment of what agriculture is supposed to be achieving or to have achieved in these schools for the benefit of the country at large. Because it just goes beyond the issue just saying that you are training people for agriculture, but there's need for us to have people, because all this knowledge and discipline we are talking about, one way or the other, they are interwoven. So there is no way you want to take agriculture, to a greater level without you bringing about all this managerial knowledge into it.
Okay, what
Okay.
impact has agriculture had on on the program you are running? Entrepreneur and agriculture. What's the balance?
Well, as if you look at it very well, you see that entrepreneurial studies as a course, for instance, is an all-encompassing field. It's a kind of field that can actually tap and get up. For instance, let me give you a very good example. I was just discussing with a colleague who is studying aquaculture and fish management in FUNAAB. Recently, we are trying to look at some of the opportunity that existed in that discipline. So as an entrepreneur that seeks to, like, look at what are the likely opportunity, because many a times it doesn't say any threat, you only try to see opportunity. So what is the existing opportunity? So, and by virtue of you being in a kind of environment where we have some of these agricultural courses being practiced, then it even exposes you more, because it want to challenge your sense of reasoning. Because if you are saying that as entrepreneur, it's not a must you go into the production of noodles, spaghetti, or cement. No, you can actually start from some of these things that you are seeing around you, and that which is the whole essence of entrepreneur. So being in an environment where you have all these agricultural processes being done, then it gives you opportunity to be able to, like, reason the more that, oh, if this thing actually exists, then you can actually start with any of these things that you have seen, that you are seeing around you as an entrepreneur, for instance. And the same thing applies to every other person too. It's just a matter of you sitting down and looking around. In fact, you don't even need to travel to any other places to go and be doing borrowing from some of their own innovation, just from within the environment you found yourself alone, by virtue of being in an agricultural environment.
From the way you speak, I don't think you're going to practice what you are learning. Once you're done out of school, you'll go into agriculture. Am I speaking your mind?
Well, as far as I'm concerned,
So
I
why
think it does
couldn't
not really. When
why
you
couldn't you have gone on to do agriculture?
no, 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 no. Oh, no, no. What we are actually saying here is that if you are saying that probably one may not want to go into what you are studying, I can assure you that going into agriculture or going into another thing is still there's still a bigger room for it under entrepreneurship.
You know what I'm trying to say? Some students go into school not because they love what they are going to read there, but just to go to university. Let it be heard that I am going into the university. I hope you know there are a lot of students out there doing that. Hmm? You know that quite well. Okay, so what do you have to say about that?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, we can only advise such students that they should. This is never too late to sit back and reassess your life and all that you are doing with your life. So the fact that you may actually have one particular intention at the onset does not necessarily mean that you can still not try to reevaluate yourself and whatever you are doing. So someone like me, for instance, I've always have intention of being a manager for a very long time, and somebody that we always try to like see how you can get to explore different aspects of life. So by for instance, by virtue of being in agricultural school, so it only serve as a plus for one, because it makes you to look into, oh, so this thing that I don't even know anything about, that actually it exists before now, so it's actually in a system. So it's a kind of plus to what you already have in you before now, before you even get to that environment. So even if an entrepreneur should go into agricultural business, so it is not we can't call it a deviation from his core course, because entrepreneur means that you can actually go into any form of business, be it agriculture, be it technology, be it whatever thing that can actually help to improve the level of economic development of the country. It's still within the
No,
purview.
With this now, what is your advice to the youths out there? If you have a sibling now, would you advise him or her to also come pick a course at FUNAAB, or take a course that you are also into right now? Would you advise that? What's your advice for Nigerian youths out there?
Well, if you look at Nigeria as a country presently, like I used to tell my colleagues and my some of my contemporaries, I say that you see, Nigeria as of today, uh, nobody is actually complaining of short acute of let's say for instance, oh, probably because we don't have enough this particular discipline or that particular discipline. Let's say for instance, for example, nobody is actually saying that the major challenge Nigeria is having right now is because probably we don't have many professionals in the field of agriculture, for instance. No. Or even in the field in some technological areas, or even in some engineering areas. But if you look at Nigeria as of today, the major challenge or challenges be definitely the country as we speak is that there's a dearth of entrepreneurs, which is the major driving force of any economy, just like we have in the advanced country. So what we need to do now is to call more people to come in into entrepreneur studies, so
yeah,
that they,
Flavi, deep inside you, I asked this question. I asked the dean the same question. Deep inside you, do you think money, the drive to make more money by the school, is also involved in this?
well, as far as I know, I will never agree to that or subscribe to
Don't
that.
let us look at FUNAAB alone. We are just using FUNAAB as a case study because it's close to us. We are looking at all these specialized schools across the country. Do you think the opportunity to make money is also a driving factor?
Well, as far as I know, I will never subscribe to that line of thought, because in the first place, if you look at some of these things that some of these schools are doing, it is even before they have some of these things. A school that is able to sit down very well and plan itself, can always improve on its IGL. Even let's assume that the government do not even approve, all these courses for them in the first place. That doesn't mean they cannot improve on their IGL generation. So, but what we are actually talking about is that it is a normal thing for anybody to want to think that, oh, maybe the need to improve on the IGL generating may be a factor. But in the reason of it, I don't really think it's a major factor for all these things. I think the major factor that could be responsible is the need to expand the scope of knowledge, and also the need to ensure that some of these things we are doing, we need to look at some of the like I've said earlier on, that this education of it is an interwoven exercise process. So the need to borrow some other aspects of academics, or call discipline, to further enhance the scope of the attainment, quick attainment and realization of the core mandate of all the existing programs. I think that is a major factor.
Okay, thank you very much. That will be it for now. We will need to take a break for the national news at 10. Okay?
Yes, but while the news is on, keep sending your message via the SMS 32120 and our Twitter handle Atrocity FM for add the hashtag Daybreak Show. Yes, we'll come back and do justice to that. Let's take this break for the news, and Afolabi Lukman, the Speaker of the Federal University of Agriculture.